Hi, it's Dre Griggs of Sitting Wisdom. Today we talk about one of the keys to happiness, which is owe nobody nothing but love. This is like one of my favorite verses from the good book, and it's this idea that if I owe somebody something, then I owe them something. And if you've ever seen a movie where the Godfather is telling somebody that they got to do something, it's often because the Godfather helped them in a previous situation where they have dirt on each other. And in real life, our politics are like that, where politicians seem like they sort of have like a secret handshake where like, okay, I'm not going to put your business out, you don't put my business out, but they often will blackmail each other where they'll say, if you want the money for your campaign, you have to vote for this bill that maybe doesn't go with your constituents' desires and their dreams. The same is true when it comes to relationships with your friends and your family. If you've ever been in a toxic relationship or knew someone in a toxic relationship, what is the reason that they often stay in those relationships? Sometimes, yeah, it has to do with their own self-worth and self-value and their perception or misperception of themselves. But oftentimes it's that their life is tied to this person, where it's funded by this person, and they feel like if they leave it, it makes life so difficult for them. Or maybe they have children with the person and they're like, well, I don't have the access that this person has, and so I may not be able to see my children if I, go against them and try to divorce them. Even when it comes to your relationship with your parents, sometimes where we grow up and our parents have certain expectations of us. And based on those expectations, we have to do certain things. Now, sometimes our parents are fantastic and everything they ask of us is exactly what we want them to do anyways, or at least what we would want to do if we had the wisdom that they had. Right? There are things that my kids don't want to do that is totally because they're so young and they don't understand how what you're doing today is going to benefit you in 4 years or in 5 years. Like my kids, they just want to play all day, right? Like if I let them do what they want, they would just play all day. They wouldn't worry about reading or math or learning or trying new things. But when I sit and talk to them, I'll be like, hey, what do you want to do? Or what do you want to be when you grow up? And they'll say, oh, I want to be like a gymnast. And I'm like, fantastic. Let's go to the park and climb on the monkey bars and do some flips and different things like that. And in their mind, they're like, okay, maybe. And then my other kids should be like, oh, I want to be an artist. I'm like, great. Let's watch some YouTube art drawing videos. Here's an art book. Let's practice that. To where they are very thankful once I get them moving. But in the moment, they just want to be able to sit and watch TV because that seems like the most fun for them. And that's the truth for all of us. But ideally, we all get to a point where we do know what brings us joy and brings us happiness, things that we want to do with our life. And if you owe nobody nothing but love, then it makes it much easier for you to make that transition. Now, you can take this financially, where we're talking about just debt. If you owe somebody like a mortgage and a car payment and credit card bills and different bills, you don't have the same amount of freedom as someone who doesn't have those bills. Because you have those bills, you are required, directly or indirectly, to continue working in a profession that generates the income that allows you to pay those bills. Because if you don't, they're going to come and take everything back from you. Now, you may be able to work something out where you can exchange your certain jobs or where you find a new one, but it doesn't change the fact that you have that obligation, that you have to be able to make certain payments, or depending, they can either sue you or mess up your credit or different things like that. But it doesn't change the fact that you have an obligation, that you owe somebody something other than love. And as a result, it directly or indirectly requires certain actions of you. If we get to a place where you owe nobody nothing but love, when you get tired of a certain situation, you can leave that situation to where you are self-sustainable, where you are taking care of yourself, where you're not required to do anything just because someone funds your lifestyle. On the other end, you want to live with such a high integrity where no one has the juicy secrets on you, or as the kids will talk about spilling the tea, where you don't have any of that, where you live in a way or where you're forthright and honest to where no one's going to be trying to blackmail you. There won't be any pictures and videos and things that will require you to make certain decisions because otherwise they're going to expose you. And so when you talk about living in a way where you owe nobody nothing but love, there is the integrity aspect, our character, who we are, and whether who we are in the public is who we are when nobody's looking. And then the financial aspect of it, where am I being required to maintain my lifestyle because I'm, living outside of my means, or at least I took on a lot of debt to where I have to make certain decisions. The joy and the freedom that I'm trying to help all of you get that's tied to your dream life is 100% tied to your ability to wake up one day and say, you know what, this is the day that I want to go and have an Airbnb in another country. And you're able to do that. This is the day that I decided, you know what, I liked my job, it made sense, but I think the stress and the requirement is hindering my ability to be there present for my kids. So as a result, I'm going to find a new position that pays me less than what I was making, but that's okay because I have enough set aside where my money is working for me instead of me working for my money. The freedom that we're all trying to get to, when we talk about financial independence or financial freedom, is this idea of twofold. One is you have enough money that is being generated by the money working that you now can decide, I want to work on things that I'm passionate about. I want to work on things that are important to me. And it becomes a little bit difficult for us depending on when we came to this realization because we all have dug ourselves in a hole at some way or another. Things that we didn't know that we learned, we're like, dang, I would do that differently if I could do it all over again. Which is fine. We all have that. But as soon as you put the shovel down, then we're all that much better. Because the first step is to stop digging further. Will we agree with that? The first step is to stop digging further. So we put the shovel down, and then we have to figure out how to climb back out. Ideally, climbing out of the hole is going to require someone who's already been out of the hole. Someone who can say, this is what I did to get out, put your foot there, and then put your hand here, and then the next step, you're going to put your hand here and watch that one. That one doesn't really work. That's like a phony hole, and you'll slip there and you'll fall back on your butt to where somebody can help you. Now, that's not always an option. We don't always get to use other people's wisdom. Sometimes we have to make our own mistakes, which builds our own wisdom, and then it's our job to share with other people so that they can learn from our wisdom. I'm showing my wisdom because I've done it. I've owed everybody so much at different parts of my life. And as I've been able to get out of the holes, as I've been able to pay people back, the joy that I have to be able to just say, like, look, no thank you. Like, you know what? Thank you, but no thank you. And I don't say it in a jerk way where it's like, hey, look, I don't owe you anything anymore, so stop talking to me, right? It's just more like I'm being forthright. I'm just being honest with you. I felt a certain kind of way. I felt like I owed you in one way or another. So it felt really weird for me to say no. It felt like weird and ungrateful. But we're past that, right? Whatever the debt is, it's been cleared. Whatever decisions I've made, I've righted them. And so now I'm just being honest with you. I don't want to do that. That's just not what I want to do. And it's okay. And the person can feel exactly how they want to feel about that. And it changes your life in no way, shape, or form, which is the beauty of things. When you're dealing with certain business partners and you may decide, you know what, I just really want to walk away from this business. Like, yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah, it's really going to hurt me, but it hurts a lot more for me to stay in the business with this person. And so whether you sell your shares to them or however it looks, you're able to prioritize not just the money, because that's where most of us messed up. We prioritize the money first at the expense of our freedom, at the expense of our passions, at the expense of the life that we want to live. And then we have the money, and then what do we do with the money? We try to buy back our freedoms. We try to buy back our friends. We try to buy back the lifestyle that we want to live. But if you had a plan in place to where you were able to structure it in a way so you always made sure that your priorities were front and center. You never sacrificed a priority, a core value for money because you always knew what they were. I have found that most people, when they are sacrificing something, when they are being bound into the world, where they owe somebody something more than love, it is the hindrance of them not knowing that that was important to them. Once you realize it's important to you, you're like, dang, right? It's almost like somebody pawning something, and then it meant nothing to you. The pawn shop gave you like $100 for it, and then your parent comes in and they're like, oh yeah, you didn't know that ring was the family heirloom that was passed down for generations and all this other stuff, and it's priceless. And then like your face goes pale and you're like, it's priceless? You're like, because I just put a price on it. It was like $100 at the pawn shop. And then you go back and what? The pawn shop has doubled it. They're selling it for $250, $300, and that's only if it's still there. If it's not there, then someone else bought it, and you may have to pay even more if you even find them. You just really want to understand what it is that you're dealing with in your life, what it is that brings you the joy, content, happiness, and peace. What is it that brings a smile to your face, that helps you feel stress-free? Those are the things that you want to prioritize in your life. And it's often going to be progress towards a goal. It's going to be service to helping others. And it's going to be the peace of mind of not having to worry about money. If you like the video, I ask you to like and subscribe. And feel free to check out other Wisdometric videos if you're looking for ways to eradicate financial stress, generate passive income, and build a prosperous retirement strategy.